Are you sure?
Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never ask a bride why she's getting married. Don't wear a skirt on a windy day. Deodorant is not a shower. Don't sniff chili flakes. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
The evidence had been strewn across the international arrivals hall at Chennai's Meenambakam airport. A burned wire, a fragment of brown fabric with residue from industrial explosives, shards of broken glass, bloodied bodies, and a severed head flung dozens of meters across the building. From behind an endless rosewood table, in a room shielded from the searing summer sun by elegant woven bamboo blinds, one of Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's senior-most aides patiently listened to what investigators had found. Then he gently suggested that the macabre jigsaw puzzle ought never be put together. We have a duty to protect the Sri Lankan militants. Tamil Nadu's then intelligence chief, K. Mohandas, was to recall he had been told. If we continued along the known line of investigation in the airport blast case, the Sri Lankan government would take advantage of it and proclaim to the world the existence of militant training camps in India, which had officially been denied. 40 years ago this August, the little-known Tamil Iyam army sought to plant 2 suitcases fitted with bombs on an Air Lanka flight from Chennai to Colombo. The overweight suitcases were held back after the passenger who checked them in failed to board the aircraft and exploded inside the customs area. 33 people were killed, many of them ethnic Tamils from Sri Lanka. The perpetrators have never been punished. This grim anniversary will come even as many in India are celebrating an alleged covert campaign to assassinate terrorists sheltering in Pakistan and in the West, in countries like Canada and even the United Kingdom. Earlier this week, newspapers in India even reported the killing of retired Pakistan Army officer Brigadier Amir Hamza, alleged to be involved in planning a 2018 jihadist attack in Jammu and Kashmir. The evidence in this case isn't all that compelling. Brigadier Hamza handled land acquisition in Lahore, not intelligence work, and was not named in charges filed in that terrorist attack by the National Investigation Agency. Few on social media, of course, have let details dissipate their passion for righteous vengeance. The bombing in Chennai, though, is a cautionary tale about what can happen when spies are authorized to kill without very careful consideration of tactical means and strategic ends. The patronage of Tamil terrorist groups by India's intelligence services gave the country short-term leverage over Sri Lanka. But it would end in the mindless sacrifice of the lives of 1,165 Indian soldiers, countless civilians, and the assassination of Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi himself. Long before the bombing at Meenambakam airport, the proliferation of training camps for Tamil terrorists had become public knowledge. The editor-in-chief of ThePrint, Shekhar Gupta, wrote a famous exposé of the story in 1984, which was followed up by multiple accounts of how terrorists were taught by the Research and Analysis Wing at its school in Chakrata near Dehradun. Funds provided by Tamil Nadu's then Chief Minister, M.G. Ramachandran, allowed the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Iyam to purchase a gargantuan arsenal. The rooms in our house were full of AK-47s and rocket-propelled grenades. Australian-born Adele Balikasingham wrote, former leader of the LTT's Women's Wing and wife of a senior leader. Sri Lanka, unsurprisingly, protested about India's sponsorship of terrorism. LTTE chief Velupillai Prabhakaran was, among other things, wanted for the 1975 assassination of Jaffna Mayor Alfred Duriappa, as well as a string of attacks on Sri Lanka's police and military. Thambi Pillai Maheshwaran, the alleged leader of the Meenambakam bombers, had escaped from a maximum security prison in Sri Lanka. He again jumped bail when he was arrested after the bombing at Meenambakam airport and disappeared. Tamil insurgents in Sri Lanka staged bank robberies and attacked government institutions, the journalist M.R. Narayan-Swamy has written in his book on the terrorist group. They also coerced and killed pro-Sri Lanka Tamil politicians, ensuring secessionism emerged as the dominant voice of the community, even though a magistrate in Chennai had issued a non-bailable warrant against Prabhakaran in 1983, the journalist S.H. Venkatramani reported. Authorities chose to simply ignore it, instead escorting the LTTE leader to multiple rounds of negotiations with the Government of India in 1985 and 1986. The charges which led to the warrant related to an attempt to assassinate K. Uma Maheshwaran, the leader of the rival People's Liberation Organization of Tamil, on the streets of Chennai in 1982. Sri Lanka responded to the arrest by demanding Prabhakaran's extradition. India flatly declined. Large-scale massacres of Tamils in the summer of 1983 gave moral legitimacy for New Delhi unrolling a massive covert assistance program for the terrorists. Early in July, the LTT had ambushed an army patrol near Sri Lanka's Tirunelveli, killing 13 soldiers. Led by politicians of the ruling United National Party as well as fundamentalist Buddhist monks, scholar Neil Devota has recorded, mobs killed over 2,000 Tamils in cold blood, raped hundreds of women, and burned down homes and businesses. As refugees poured into India, outrage erupted across Tamil Nadu. Following fitness and theoretical instruction each morning, journalist T. Sabaratnam recorded in a very granular history of the LTT, RAW officers in the camps provided weapons and explosives training to a growing tide of Tamil volunteers coming into India. Some of these Tamil recruits were sent to an Indian Navy facility in Mumbai to learn the rudiments of radio communication and navigation. Another unit was taught the craft of espionage to gather intelligence of interest to the insurgency, but also India, which was, if you like, the price of the deal. Following Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's assassination in 1984, political scientist Robert Kearney has recorded, Sri Lankan President Julius Jayawardene tried to use the opportunity to hold up the mirror to India. In India, some Sikhs are agitating for a separate state, Khalistan, he said. In Sri Lanka, some Tamils are doing the same, seeking to establish Iyam. In India, a few enraged Hindus massacred innocent Sikhs. In Sri Lanka, a few enraged Sinhalese massacred innocent Tamils. Despite Prime Minister Indira's assassination, no one in Delhi was prepared to listen to his argument that backing terrorists was wrong. Like his mother, Rajiv was convinced coercing Sri Lanka was necessary to secure India's geopolitical primacy and national interests. He saw RAW and the terrorists who had become its clients as the best tool to secure this end. Even though New Delhi has long cast its support for terrorism as a response to ethnic Tamil anger at the 1983 pogrom, historians today offer more nuanced explanations which cast India in a less flattering light. For Indira Gandhi, political scientist Sankaran Krishna has argued in a superb book that the pogrom was a pretext to educate regional rulers of the costs of defying her. The same lesson Pakistan had been taught in 1971. tilting towards the United States, you see, President Jayawardene's government had irked India very, very deeply. Then there was the fact that Congress party hoped it could recruit ethnic Tamil sentiments in Tamil Nadu for votes. Tamil nationalism in Sri Lanka and in Tamil Nadu had evolved in very different directions, though. Ethnic Sinhala majoritarianism and its efforts to exclude Tamils from the polity led the minority to move away from political accommodation to armed secessionism. Ethnic Tamil demands for a Dravida Nadu to be carved out of India, by contrast, had first come about as part of an effort to win favor with Imperial Britain by opposing the Congress. E.V. Ramasamy Nayakar upended this accommodationist politics, historian Ram Mohan noted, but the mainstream of his Dravida Kazhagam had rejected secessionism as early as 1949. Tamil establishment politics in the mid-1960s was very successful in pushing back against efforts to impose Hindi, which again led to Tamils deepening their faith in Indian democracy. Tamils in Tamil Nadu sure were angered by the treatment of their ethnic cousins in Sri Lanka, but this rage posed no danger of some secessionist impulse exploding in India. And within months, Tamil revulsion at the violence of the insurgents began to become evident in cities like Chennai. Events like an armed robbery in Chennai's Anna Nagar, as well as various cases of thuggery, brought home the consequences the birth of gun culture could have for the state itself. Former Directors General of the Tamil Nadu Police, the journalist Shobha Warrior, would later report, joined hands to assert publicly that the insurgents arriving in Tamil Nadu had opened the path for criminals, religious fundamentalists, and ethnic chauvinists to also acquire lethal capabilities. The LTTE, moreover, realized India only wanted to use Tamil insurgents to pressure Sri Lanka, but would not back the creation of a separate state. Thus, RAW's creation ended up waging a savage war against the Indian Army peacekeeping mission to Sri Lanka, which began in July 1987. Trained by Indian instructors, equipped with Indian weapons, and armed with Indian money, the LTTE set down its own independent course, a course that would lead, of course, as we know, to the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi himself in 1991. For decades now, Indians have rightly raged against terrorists who have found safe havens in Pakistan and the West. The examples are too depressingly well known to really need recounting. Muhammad Aslam Mirza, alleged to be the assassin of the diplomat Ravindra Matre in 1983, was acquitted after a botched investigation carried out by London's Metropolitan Police. Figures like the Lashkar-e-Taiba chief Hafiz Muhammad Saeed or the Jaish-e-Mohammed commander Masood Azhar Alvi operate openly in Pakistan. The men who bombed Air India Flight 182 in June 1985 succeeded in doing so because of gross neglect by Canadian authorities, which also then led to their succeeding in largely evading justice. The same thing we know from the story of the Chennai airport bombing happened in India too. Loganathan, Sarvanabhavan, Chandrakumar, Vijay Kumar, and Balasubramaniam, the 5 men accused of facilitating the plot, were acquitted by the Madras High Court on the grounds that there was no evidence against them other than an approver's testimony. Thambi Pillai Maheshwaran, the alleged bomber, was finally arrested in 1998, but also ended up being acquitted. Little imagination is needed to see RAW's legendary chief, R.N. Kao, and his deputy K. Sankaran Nair miscalculated the long-term impact India's state sponsorship of Tamil terrorist groups would end up having. For this, though, it isn't fair that they alone shoulder the blame. Leaders like Prime Minister Indira and Rajiv Gandhi, as well as their top planners, seduced by the illusion of power that covert means gave them, allowed Indian foreign policy to become untethered from consideration of its real world consequences. The lives lost at Meenambakam airport, as Mohandas was told at his meeting with Rajiv's officials, might be trivial compared with the fate of nations. But the memories of the dead should compel us to remember that means do truly matter. I'm Praveen Swami and I'm a contributing editor to ThePrint. Thank you for watching this episode of Security Code.